Hey guys, it's Captain Ben with Net Dreams Fishing Charters. Today I'm going to show you how to change the drags on the Okuma Convector 30 series. The 30, the 45, and the 55 are pretty much all the same thing. A few minor differences, but if you can follow this video, you can do the other reels as well. So we're going to do a step-by-step. You're going to start with taking this little screw out here. Holds the nut to the handle. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the tools. You'll see all the tools. We're just going to fly through this. Take this nut off. There's a little plastic clear washer in between it. It's hard to see, but it's there. Take the handle off. Take this little washer. You can back off the drag handle. You got a set of washers. Make sure you keep these together in the right way. I just set them all off to the side. Alright. Now, you can undo the screws to the collar. Alright, and this will just come apart. There's one side. If you want to, you can take the little collar off, set that with the screws. Alright, now we're just going to start undoing some screws. There's 3 screws that will hold the cover. It'll be this screw, and this screw. This screw holds onto the handle shaft. All those screws have to come out. Take a crescent wrench, put it on the back side, hold that, undo that screw. This little washer right here, there's a little washer under there. When you put all this back together, if you don't line that up, it'll rub against the plastic. So when you're rotating the handle, you'll feel a snag or grittiness along the way. It's just the washer. So when you put this back together, try to put that washer perfectly around that screw. All right, there's the cover, and here's the internals. So your drags are in there. We're going to start by getting this screw out. On these 30 series, this little screw likes to back off, and then it'll hit on this cover. So your bail lever sometimes won't open all the way or won't close all the way. So make sure when you put that back on, you snug it up. Possibly even use a little bit of thread lock. Alright, take that out. This is your pinion gear. Take this out. And now the whole assembly will slide out. I forgot. I was doing all the 55s yesterday. And this one's got a counter, so you got to take the counter off. There's 3 little screws. One here, one there, one down here. Careful not to strip those. It's easy to strip these ones. One more. Alright, there's the counter cover. Here's your counter. The counter just comes right out. I guess while we're here, these counters on the convectors like to stick. You can literally pull this button right out. Take a wire brush. You kind of fold that back a little bit. Take a wire brush and you go in and out a few times, like so, on both sides. That button won't stick. This plastic, the spring on these are so light, the plastic, you'll get these little subtle, I don't know, wear marks, burrs, and that button will stick, and it'll stick down typically. If you smooth it out with that brush, then it'll function. You won't have any problems. Every once in a while, maybe you have to do that. Alright, now the gears will come out. There we go. So there's the gear set. Here's a bearing. And we'll just pop it all out. Well, that one's in there pretty good. We're going to leave that one. And you can put some oil in there. Maintenance. All this grease in here I'm going to clean up and I'm going to re-grease it. I'm not going to lacquer the grease on. The stuff that Okuma uses from the factory is really, really thick, sticky, nasty. They coat all these drags. I'll show you. They coat all these drags with grease, or they coat, I don't know, maybe so much in the cover, but I'm pretty sure they coat the drags. And they don't work as well for fresh water as they would if they were dry. So we're going to replace them with dry drags, and we're going to clean all the grease off of everything. And I'll lay this out so you guys can see how it goes. Well, that one's pretty worn. That's paper thin. That one caught a few fish. All right. So that's how they go in order. This old bearing and bushing going here. It just slides right through there. All right. I'm just going to get these out of the way. And we're just going to take a paper towel and we're going to clean all these up. Get all that grease off of everything. You could use carb cleaner, brake cleaner, all kinds of stuff to clean this metal if you want to. I just use paper towel, it works just fine. I don't clean the gears, like the actual teeth. Just clean the surfaces. I don't mind leaving that grease or oil on there, and I'll just add a little bit more. But all the surfaces where the drags are gonna touch, make sure they're clean. Alright, and this too. There's a little, I don't know, copper, brass nut that goes on there. Sometimes that falls off. To make sure you don't lose that. There's a washer, then a little spring in there. So just try to keep that intact if you can. And just go through and clean it all up. Clean the other side. Alright, so all the parts are clean. I'll grab a set of drag washers. Here's the new ones. I'll take one, put it right on there. Take the gear, put that on top. The wide opening one goes next. The other three are the same. Push that down in there. Line that up. Alright. This one has a slight convex to it. You want the convex side out, or the bubble side up. That's it. There's your drag set right there. Alright, I removed all the grease that was caked in there. Most of it, the majority of it. Get as much as you can. And then I'm going to oil this right here, this little bearing. Just one drop. Move it around, move it up and down, kind of get that oil in there. And I guess since we're here, a lot of times this pinion gear will fail. It's brass, this is stainless. When you're engaging and disengaging, this is how it connects. So this little piece right in here is where it's going to wear. I don't know if you can see that. Eventually they'll kind of work their way around, and then you won't have any reeling at all. So sometimes that needs to get replaced. Alright, that's lubed up. We're going to put a drop of oil in this bearing. And we're just going to spin that around a little bit, work it in there. Alright, this little thing. Just rotate that in there, get that oil in those needle bearings. Alright, now this is ready to go back in. I usually do it sideways, something like this. You want to keep that little star plate together. Push it in like so. And that's good to go. Alright. I cleaned off the bearing, cleaned off the slide. All the excess grease that Okuma puts in there I took off. I'm going to add a little bit of my own grease. First, I'm going to grease this gear a little bit. Just take a Q-tip and work that grease. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it slopping all over the place and getting on the drags that you just replaced. But you want to put enough where it has some grease on it. All right. I'll add a little bit of grease here. Not much. Then I'll add a little bit of grease in here. A little bit around it on that collar. Not getting crazy with the grease. Alright, this little piece slides here. We'll put the springs back on. And collar back on it. And that goes right in there. And then I put a little bit of grease on these right here. Not too much. And then I put the slide back on. Take that really small screw, put it back in. I like to make this pretty tight. Like I said, these like to back out. Then you can put a dab of grease on it so it slides on the cover a little bit better too. All right. Then I'll push this down, engage that gear, rotate it, spread that grease around a little bit. Okay, we'll put this pin back in. There we go. Now the cover. On this bushing, there's two flat ends. You got to make sure that this lines up with the cover. And here and here, everything's got to line up together. I got lucky. That was pretty simple that time. And then put the screws back in. Alright, that washer just under there, you want to make sure it's as best you can get it directly under the screw washer. Otherwise it's going to rub as you rotate the handle. Snug that down. There you go, new drags. It likes to fall out a lot. Okay, counter. There's the counter. I ran the brush up a bunch of times. And then you just pop this back in. Boom. No more sticking. That just goes right in place. We're going to put a dab, small dab of grease on that gear. Just a little bit. Put the cover back on. You want them snug, but don't make them too tight. You can strip these ones pretty easy. Alright. That's good to go back on. Now you can put this collar back on. Put your screws back in. One more. And just make sure they're all snug. Alright. Now, you take these these little drag set washers. I like to clean them up. Just rub them across the paper towel real quick. These two are curved a little bit. You want to make sure that they're opposing each other. That way when you set your drag, they can add a consistent pressure. Thread that back on. Make it bigger. Put this back on. Put your handle back on. I like to make sure this is tight. That way I make sure that the handle is all the way down. Thread that back on. And tighten it up. You don't want to go too tight, but you want it snug. You gotta line it up so you can get that screw in. All right, that's it, done. with this you're going to get a lot more adjustment. So with the factory drags, let's say you get a 1 to 10 scale, like 10 being the max. With these drags, the Dragmaster Carbon Fiber Drags that aren't greased, you get a lot more adjustability. So instead of 1 to 10, it might be 1 to 20, 1 to 30. It's quite a bit more. You don't get that jerky, sticky drag. It's nice and smooth. The adjustability is a lot better. I do a lot of salmon fishing. I charter for salmon, so they wear down on these drags quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys liked the video.